Welcome to our newest talk about eOceans powering marine management. As you all know, people love manta rays. Tourists spend millions of dollars to see them in just a few locations. So alarms rang when they started to disappear, and that's when we were solicited to help. By crowdsourcing data from local observers like scuba divers around the world who shared over 600,000 observations in 90 regions of the world, we found that although only two countries reported catching manta rays, they were being caught and sold in markets around the world. And this discrepancy helped them get on the endangered species list, CITES Appendix 2, in 2013. But what has happened since then? Have any of the strategies that have been put in place to curb illegal and unregulated harvest worked? We just don't know because science and management are both slow and not iterative. How can we stop guessing and actually keep up and make informed decisions? That's what eOceans is here for. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Christine Wardpage, a marine scientist and the founder of eOceans. For 2 decades, I was a marine scientist. I studied the impacts of sewage loading. Yep, all the gross stuff that goes down your toilet and is dumped into our coastal ecosystems. It's too long to explain the study here, but I can tell you that dilution is not the solution to pollution. I also led large crowdsourced projects like the Manta Ray project I already mentioned, and collaborated on the 100 million sharks are killed each year study, a study you may have heard of in the news. I also evaluated many marine policies and other things. The one that led me to my aha moment that made me shift my career from being a marine scientist to building technology was this one. Here we evaluated a conservation strategy, a time area closure. It's like a moving marine protected area that had been in place in Canada since 2006 to protect a depleted species, cod, while it was spawning from the scallop fishery. Despite being redesigned every year, we found that with our $700,000 grant and a small team of data analysts, that this strategy had never worked. For over a decade, this strategy had been in place without being evaluated, and it hadn't been working. That's when I looked around at goals like our 20 by 20 and then 30 by 30 goals, where we're going to protect 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. And the vast majority are not being assessed, and those that are cost nearly $1 million and are done every 10 years. This is really insufficient, and most countries and organizations, including those pushing for marine protected areas and other effective conservation based strategies, don't have the capacity to evaluate them when they are so expensive and timely. So, what's the problem? Here's an analogy. Imagine if a big box store like Walmart only did an inventory once every 6 years and then communicated the results to their customers, what's on their shelves 3 years later. They'd lose trust with their customers and go out of business pretty quickly. Yet that's how science and management work. Here's a brief history. In the 1980s, we were still using typewriters. In the 90s, I had an electric typewriter at home, but if I wanted to do anything with data, I needed to go to the university's computer lab where we had Excel. In the 2000s, we started using computer clusters, and our personal computers got better, and we got these amazing softwares for processing different types of data. But it's still all done manually, and the publications still come out years out of date, cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and cover very limited data because data in different fields and organizations are not interoperable. They're all stored in different places and in different formats. And studies are therefore only answering one question at a time. And these delays and silos enable misinformation, disinformation, and conflict. Many organizations over the last decade have also taken to social media to start spreading information and facts instead of just depending on the scientific papers themselves. But many are now grappling with the toxicity of these avenues and have a dilemma in spreading information where others spread misinformation and chaos. If we dig in even further, scientists and citizen scientists and fisheries observers and fisheries scientists and so on are still largely collecting data with a GPS unit, a pencil, and paper, and they're writing down writing down all their observations and their data, and then they take extra time to re-enter that data into spreadsheets that may or may not be combined with other data sets. And then it sits until eventually someone like me asks a question and pulls together all the different types of data that are available and writes hundreds of lines of code, tediously points and clicks to make maps, and then generate reports. See this report from my region on the critically important and massively depleted Atlantic salmon. A progress report published in 2021, but covering the period up to 2015. That's at least 6 years out of date. How can we know what strategies are working when things are so out of date? And if we look at the cost, I don't know the specifics for this paper, but even a small data project can cost one expert at least 8 months and very conservatively. And a report like this could cost over $100,000 and still be out of date. Based on my research and interviews around the world, 90% of teams, scientists, citizen scientists, consulting, First Nations, governments, tourism, fisheries, all can collect data really well, but they lack the capacity to manage the data or analyze it in a timely way, if at all. 100% of reports are outdated by the time they're published, and $100,000 can easily be spent on a single data report, only to repeat that same work again and again, year after year, for another species in another location. Our estimates suggest that $291 billion of time and data are wasted each year, which means that teams continue to be spread too thin to keep pace with change, leaving everyone vulnerable. Looking back at this history, we really need a new era in data science, using the cloud computing and all the analysis you would need and want all in one platform that's fast, credible, and purpose driven. That's eOceans. It puts all the functionality you need in one place. Every science and management project's needs: data quality, data quantity, data management, interoperability, summary analysis, advanced analysis, maps, graphs, displays, reports, and dissemination. eOceans massively streamlines workflows by putting all the functionality in one place, which means you can get to where you're going faster, better, and more ethically. As you add your data, all your insights and reports stay up to date to power smart management. eOceans was designed and built by PhD scientists, so you know it's doing what you need it to do. As well, because fair data that's findable, accessible, interoperable, and reproducible is great for those who will use it for good intentions, but it does not work well for special places, species, local knowledge holders, Indigenous knowledge holders, First Nations, and so on. So, best practice beyond research grade ethics are built into the platform, where you own the data that you put in and decide who has access to it. This way, you can put your data in live through the eOceans mobile app, or by uploading spreadsheets of data, or get us to build a custom API for your data streams. And then you can see your data come to life effortlessly. And it works anywhere in the world for any organization, any species, any sampling strategy, threat, social value, or more. And better yet, instead of having your data feed just one project, as has been the case in science forever, it can seamlessly feed also into dozens or even hundreds of other projects. So you can be tracking the catch of a fishery while instantly capturing the status of an invasive species, endangered species, migratory species without any extra effort. And because of this drive to create this system, we have the MPA Health Tracker and MPA Health Score built right in, so that all MPAs can be easily tracked on the same scoring scale locally and globally. So imagine a score across each marine protected area, a network of marine protected areas, and all around the world, saving orders of magnitude in cost while enabling large scale collaborations that were never possible before. And this can scale across all organizations, projects, developments, managed areas, protected areas, species, fisheries, pollution, and it even can go on land. It's not only for the ocean. We have 3 case studies that you can check out. I'll cover them very briefly here. Protected area in California, where Ocean Science Analytics has deployed our technology to unite a team of highly skilled observers to track biodiversity as well as the social values and threats in the La Jolla MPA. Another is the Lamu Megafauna Project in the Maldives, led by the Maldives Underwater Initiative by Six Senses Luxury Resort. They were going to build their own shark app before they learned about eOceans. Now they track their sharks, rays, turtles, dolphins, crown of thorns, and other species using the eOceans app and platform. These data have already helped turn this site into a Mission Blue Hope Spot, which is great for the site and for their community. Third, an inspiring story by a youth in South Africa who loves her local MPA, Utukela. Tahira started this project to document all the ships and vessels that are illegally inside the MPA, and she's particularly keen to document those in close proximity to humpback whales as they migrate up the eastern coast of the African continent and have near misses inside of a protected area, as well as having to deal with the noise and so on. She won a National Geographic Slingshot Award, the teen version of the Earthshot Awards. It's very impressive. Although I've mentioned biodiversity quite a bit, it's also an all-in-one solution that can be used to monitor your efforts. So how much efforts you're putting into monitoring compliance and spending in the protected area, as well as the social values, the cultural values, economic threats, anthropogenic conditions, and more. Which means that management can be made easy, dynamic, and informed, with science and policy that's integrated and iterative. Instantly analyze data and metrics of success, and there's no need for messy spreadsheets, tedious code, or time-consuming GIS, enabling detailed information at the scale that you need, that's at much higher resolution than ever possible before. And it's an 80% cost reduction from doing it manually. One barrier that even the best technology still needs is people. People are still needed to use any of the best technologies that are available. Right now, for a limited time, we're fully looking into the workforce behind marine protected areas. These are the people that are the backbone to 30 by 30, arguably the most important workforce on our planet right now, tasked with protecting the world's biodiversity that remains, and therefore the food we eat, the medicines we rely on, climate stability, and more. A recent global study collected data on terrestrial protected areas. After a lot of hard work getting managers around the world to report on the staffing of protected areas in 176 countries, they estimated that only 555,000 staff are in place and only 285,000 rangers. That may sound like a lot, but for comparison, there's an estimated 1.3 million hairstylists in the US alone. That's 2.5 times the number of all the people protecting the world's biodiversity across our lands. Based on necessary densities, there are 5 times fewer protected area staff than what's needed on land. And that brings us to marine protected areas. A group of us have come together to ask, do we think the staffing is the same in marine protected areas? How does it compare? Do MPAs have the same density, more or less? And we're also asking about the roles played and what's needed. A quick look at the global map of protected areas on land and at sea, we can easily hypothesize that they're not the same. The size, the shape, the location, the proximity to people, and much more suggest that they're much different. Some are tiny, broken up, and close to shore. Others are large, continuous, and offshore. They have different threats, different levels of acceptance, different strategies for conservation, and varying degrees of what is allowed and what isn't allowed, and much more. All these dimensions change the needed workforce, but also the actual workforce. So how many dentists are needed for your marine protected area? Probably none. But what does an MPA or OECM need? What skills do we need, like leaders and managers, rangers, guardians, administrators, educators, scientists, or other? That's what we're trying to find out. how many and what are the skills that are needed. And then what tools are being deployed around the world for marine protected areas, but also for other conservation strategies? What skills do they need to deploy these technologies? For example, before eOceans, they would have to have known how to collect data, store and manage and do the architecture for the data sets, as well as do GIS, R, advanced statistics, and more. And who else is operating inside or nearby these areas so that collaborations can be formed? All of this is important for building an effective marine protected area and marine managed ecosystems. And we all know about that adequacy is variable across ecosystems and places. For example, a couple of MPAs and fishers have said that the capacity is adequate. They have all the right skills and the amount of staff that they need for adequate compliance of their marine protected area. But that's only from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So in the evenings and the weekends and in the nighttime, it's vulnerable to other illegal activities. So if you're watching this before July 2025 and you know these details about a marine protected area in your neighborhood, please fill out this survey. In summary, no matter where you are, your role, or the space you are focused on, chances are that you need to accelerate your mission further and faster, and we are here to help. Please get in touch to get your team started with eOceans today. Thank you.